So, two questions. So one for Johanna and one for Daniel. So Johanna, what makes Wärtsilä credible on the sustainability? So can you come up with some evidence that why Wärtsilä's sustainability story is true and comes from sustainability values, not just protecting the business?
Obviously, you know the company for a long time. I've been there only for a year and a half. But I truly believe in it. I think the kind of highest level of proof is this energy business strategy, 100% renewable. Of course, that's a strategy, and we have to wait for it to come true. There has been many experiments also in that business on wave energy, for example, and so forth, kind of exploring new things. On the marine side, we have been heavily looking at how to achieve the zero emission target posed by IMO. And that's kind of very challenging target, and there's no silver bullet to achieve that target. And well, one very probable path is to follow the alternative fuel path. So we have already started with LNGs, so LNG enabled engines, and promoting the LNG infrastructure and going from there to biofuels and having fuel flexibility in our engines. So that's those are things which are on the works. We have, of course, also research hydrogen fuel cells and so forth for years, but the technology is not really ready yet.
Second question.
Second question is
Daniel, you showed 5 business models for circular or sustainable in Sitra. So how about API as a product? Have you been considering that as one business model that could be included there? And are you familiar with that?
Not really. What? Sorry. To be honest, I have not. Can you just open a little bit what you mean?
Yeah, API as a product is offered via API. It's for platforms and platform economy models where data is used or produced or productized as a way that you can use it as an API and build applications on top of that. So it's not ready product as such, but your earning logic is based on API, and that way it's related to sharing.
Yeah. Yes. Now I get it. I haven't been working a lot on that, but ING in Holland, the Dutch bank, ING, they have very big thinking around this kind of data that being the currency of tomorrow, and this business idea that you're describing. And that's my kind of first link to the topic, but interesting highlight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could briefly continue on that topic as we have a Sharetribe here. I briefly explained that it's mainly the software as a service model, which we have been following throughout the year so that people can do everything on the web. But our newest product launched last spring is actually an API as a product, or you pay for the subscription to the API and you build the rest yourself. So you don't get the template sharing platform. And the reason why we have this too is that some people want the easy start and some people want the flexible product where they can build things on the rest. So I think it makes a lot of sense, at least from our point of view, to also offer this just the API with the pricing without the software layer full ready-made. So it leaves more freedom for the people building on top of that.
Maybe a follow-up question for me on that, because I've been recently reading a lot about how important data is. And Johanna, you spoke about the ecosystem and different players coming together. How important do you see the sharing of data, and how difficult do you see the sharing of data? And many times companies are very protective of the data they have, because they don't want to give that to competition or to other players. How do you see that as a stepping stone, but also as something that's holding back circular economy models and sustainability models?
Well, short answer. I think it's really important and it's very difficult. So that's one of the cornerstones of making this all happen. Nobody wants to give out their data. The kind of companies just realize that they have data, but then the second thing they realize that that's their biggest asset soon, and they don't want to give it out. So I've been thinking of many business models where we would be aggregating data and making it available for everybody using blockchain to protect it and so forth, but it would be very difficult.
Yeah.
But I think it's very motivating to try at least.
Yes, yeah.
We have also been thinking about this, having the data as open as possible. And actually, with my co-founder, already 1 year before starting the company, we started a blog called avoinyritys.fi, which is the open company, and we started like hypothetically speaking, like what if a company would try to be as open and transparent as possible, as opposed to the default of holding all the data. And we did write there a lot in the early days of how things were going, and now we notice that we write there much less these days, where things are more busy and actually going somewhere when there would be more interesting data to share, but that comes to the difficulty of how to share it. So we still do have a public Google Drive where many things are like the presentations and stuff, so people, if they were the way through, they could find it, but it's quite messy, it's not like made user-friendly, and there is, when we are busy, it's hard to carve time for making that more easily, because it's not so clear how it benefits.
Yes, yeah, definitely. There's about the data monetization. Was a question there?
Yes. Thank you for all, and I'm sorry, my question is not directly about the circular economy, but Antti, you're still a very young guy, and now you're stuck up with this ownership structure forever. My question is, how this, what happens when it ends? It's not like a bad way to asking it, but one day we retire, even though the income is limited, we maybe want to take it a bit more easier. So how you make sure that your company will not become one of those big elephants that haven't changed for last 30 years because the same people are based on the foundation on the driving wheel?
Very good question, and something that we also got asked last spring when asking for many people advice that does this type of change make sense, and some of the dangers they pointed out that will it be like a foundation that has carved something in stone and then stick with that purpose. Fortunately, that's also has been taught in the model that world is changing fast, so the purpose itself could actually be changed and by the voting shares. So it just means that the voting shares are inside the company, so everybody who is allowed to vote is working on the company. So if it's going to be changed, it needs a big part of the people who are working to agree that, hey, let's change the direction here. So it actually doesn't bind ourselves to be democratizing the sharing economy for the next 100 years. But probably sharing the direction would need to have a very strong reason so people can trust in that. And people outside the company, even if they are investors, they don't have a full vote on, hey, now you need to change your direction towards something more profitable for the investors. So there's that big thing, I think. And yeah, regarding the youngness and the entrepreneur motivation, which I think is also related, that doing this kind of limitation was interesting because often entrepreneurs are planning for a big vision or selling out companies sometimes later. And now me and co-founder naturally have a big part of the shares, but also for those we agreed a price through which, a bit slower pace the company would buy them out if we are profitable. So we kind of create overnight millions, but we still could still reach nearly 2 millions overall if things go well. So there is still the financial reward for everybody who has taken risks, including the early employees, including the investors. So depending on when people join, what they have been putting in. So I think that's one of the beauty of the model, that it doesn't fully push away the capitalistic thing, it just puts a limit there, and then the rest will be used for the mission.
Was a question again?
I also have a question, Fanti. What is your data privacy policy? Because obviously the sharing economies, the sharing platforms, they deal with quite a lot of personal data, something even with extremely sensitive, like the Uber case, we know of exploiting people because having their data and abusing it. So what is the policy of your company regarding the data?
Good question. And indeed, we need to draw a strict line for what's our customers' data and what's our own data, so we can share our presentation and document templates and stuff easily. But regarding customer data, we need to keep it very isolated. So we have more like an approach there, like using Amazon Cloud or something that you can store things there and trust that they stay there. So our clients can store things in their Sharetribe platform and trust that they stay there, they are not leaking out, and that they own the data, so they can take it out or delete it. And like, especially now with the new GDPR legislation, there are a lot of rights for our customers and their users also. So we need to be very accurate there. And indeed, it could be about even some healthcare information, some marketplaces. So we need to have high security standards on there. And the only thing that we do, because we would accumulate valuable data, I said it could be a big asset, but we have in our terms of service, there is the right for us to have like aggregate data, like that. For example, overall in our marketplaces, the commission rate is about 14%. So we can do this kind of statistical data, but not revealing anything about any individual cases. So we can share something overall like that, but not individual things.
Does this also hold for those who use your software to build other platforms, or they make their own decisions?
Yeah, so those who use our software to build things, they typically use the model where they store the data to our servers. So then there is the data protection agreement, the processing agreement that defines, but basically they are still the owners of their data, so they can decide what happens. And with the default terms, they give us the right to have this kind of aggregate statistics.
Okay, let's have 3 more questions, then go to the networking, so we have sufficient time for that as well.
Okay, so I just want to have one question for Johanna. So can you give me more example about the circular supply chain in Wärtsilä? And from your point of view, how many % of Wärtsilä supply chain already circular? And in the future, do you have any strategy to make your supply chain become totally circular?
I'm afraid I will not be able to give you those figures, so we have to figure out that later. Yeah, sorry.
Any example about the circular supply chain inside the Wärtsilä? So can you give me any real example about the circular supply chain inside the Wärtsilä? For example, like how you optimize the sourcings or the procurement for the material or something?
No, so sorry, I can't open that up much. The only example I gave you just is kind of on this fuel side, what we're planning then to use on ships, and they're the biggest trend, or big trend going forward is these biofuels and synthetic fuels and power to X type of solutions, which will enable for renewables. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I have 2 questions. The first one is, they are open questions. The first one is regarding the sharing economy as a platform. Most of them say that they beneficiate the interaction between people face to face. Especially this one is for Sharetribe. How do you measure that? Because most of the interactions are basically, hey, I'm here, this is my money, hey, I got the product, bye bye. So I don't see how someone can actually gain something from that. And the second question is more regarding a critical point of view of sharing economy. Most of the platforms are just linking either good providers or service providers with customers. They don't interact directly with them. What do you think about that cases where not employees but good providers, service providers are seeing their social benefits getting downside? They are not being paid healthcare, neither pension, neither retirement, nothing. Just they are gaining even lower price than an hour by payment. For example, this is the case of Uber in developing countries, and even Airbnb in places like Spain, that is making people basically unable to rent a house either in Barcelona or Madrid. I just want to know your opinion.
Yeah, so for the first one, indeed the social side benefit do not happen in all the marketplaces. But out of the examples, for example, this Finnish parent-to-parent baby gear rental service, we have heard stories that parents living nearby start by renting a stroller from person nearby, and then they start chatting, and then they actually start meeting, and so there have been people meeting over coffee after it started with the rental. So in some concepts it might happen. It's I think still in the minimal part, and it's hardly the driving force for people to use these services. And about the second part, indeed I think it's a worrying thing that the worker rights are going downhill, and that was related. Maybe can I still actually stop last picture? Yeah. So here actually also what we're seeing now that the blue platforms are now working pretty well, but there are also these problems with the worker rights. So we wish that different kind of, maybe the taxi driver co-op will have another rules. So they can use the technology, they can create another ride-sharing app. They might have a lower price or similar price. Maybe people prefer to use that because they know that the taxi drivers get paid well there and they have the healthcare, for example. So we believe that by having more platforms to compete, it also forces them to be more fair.
Add one comment. Yeah, good questions. I'm not a big fan of definitions, but if you go into those, you can also argue that companies like Uber, they're not actually optimizing the current routes and capacities of cars. But they're actually, the investors found a better profit model in just creating more rides and just kind of using cheap labor to take people to places. Whereas the original model would be more like a BlaBlaCar example, where you actually have people going from A to B in any way, and you jump in the same car. So that then, if you go into more of kind of scientific discussion, then that's more like a platform economy and not sharing economy, what Uber is doing. So that's, I think, one consideration to look at, particularly also the ways that things work. And another consideration is also, if you look at the ancestors of these kind of things, and it goes, for example, to Nairobi or somewhere in Africa, just as an example, have had a lot of these models before digital applications. So you have the, I don't know, Toyota Hilux pickup truck. Every time it's going from Nairobi to a certain nearby town, it's going to be really full. It's going to be 11 persons in one car because of scarce resources.
Mm-hmm. And they will wait until it's full.
And they will wait until it's full. And it's more like shouting out and connecting with your peers. And now we're just doing the same thing digitally to make it a bit easier. So there, in the kind of philosophic sense, it's kind of the thing works. But then when you go more into the platform economy and just kind of find a new business, there's some problems.
Final question over here.
Thank you. I'm Aura from the Finnish Environmental School, Sitra. I had so many questions, but I had to kind of bring it down to one. And it's also something that maybe in the networking I would like to discuss ideas with other people as well. And it comes down to one word, which is efficiency, because one of the points of circular economy is increasing efficiency. But then if at the same time, Daniel just mentioned it in the previous answer, if at the same time consumption increases, it doesn't matter how much we improve efficiency, it will not be sustainable. And this is kind of also a question I want to ask Wärtsilä, because in the marine sector is growing, and we're shipping stuff from around the world in increasing amounts. So I think for any company to say that sustainability is their value, they have to also be working with the reduction of the consumption, which then again is not a very good business model necessarily. So the efficiency question I actually want whether you can answer, especially Sitra, whether you've done research on this, is how much this sharing economy is actually like increasing resource efficiency. my neighbor, he is part of this Blockscar, which is like the Airbnb for cars. He owns maybe 5 cars that are on Blockscar, and I think each car uses about 4% still. So, and obviously it's a new one, it's a new startup, so not so big, but even Airbnb, I don't know if there's any research on whether it actually has kind of increased the hot bed rate, as they say in the hotel world. Whether this actually has increased efficiency, is there any research on that? Is it too early to say?
Yes, that's a very good point, and of course the so-called rebound effect is a big concern in these areas. So you make it easier, and then you have more consumption. I think it's more like case studies that you have in terms of results. So I don't really know. I can chat with you later about single results, but I think in the bigger picture, also what Sitra is visioning, it's possible to decouple the use of resources and climate emissions, increasing climate emissions from increasing well-being. So you can decouple those two things, and then maybe economic growth is a bit of a question mark in that equation.
Can I have a comment? Thank you for allowing this comment as well, because we're actually doing research just around this topic, how to prevent the rebound effect or this trap, and so that the circular economy doesn't fall into the same thing as the efficiency. And I think it's much about not viewing the circular economy as just an industrial strategy, but rather thinking, thinking how can circular economy really become an economy model, a new way of thinking in the society. And I'm not sure that it's only the task of companies to actually regulate consumption or try to change the consumers, but it's really trying to change the societal model. So, but my point is that if only we can manage not to reduce the circular economy into industrial or business strategy, but think it as a really a wider system.
Yes.
Airbnb is not fully sharing a platform as far as I'm aware. It's also a business there where people rent properties and then they're calling themselves experience, home sharers. But literally they're not their homes. They just rent it to then rent it out again. There are many cases out there in Lapland that all the cottages have been taken by these people and now they're advertising via Airbnb, which is...
Exactly. That was, I think, the same kind of topic that was raised from Barcelona, or I don't know where, from behind, and as well as Uber has the same effect. So it's not any more sharing the existing capacities and assets, but actually creating more supply.
Maybe one final question from me. Daniel, you mentioned Finland. Sitra has been awarded as the first country with a circular economy roadmap. I think it was last year or the year before.
Yeah.
We have the World Circular Economy Forum come to Finland this year again, with people from around the world looking at Finland. What's the next step for Finland? Where will we be as a country, as a nation going forward?
Yeah, I think it's always easy to blame the government, right? But
that always works.
Yes, that's a good question. Finland is one of the forerunners already in circular economy, and companies are doing a big move. Cities are doing a lot, and we are very kind of a modern society with a lot of trust. So it's easy for us to share things and do stuff. So we're on a good path, but what's a little bit missing is also the kind of regulatory incentives and the push to make things a little bit faster from the government side. And this is something I think that is the next level that we have to achieve to speed up things and stay on top of the development. And for example, there's an interesting project called the X-Tax initiative, and the idea is to shift. It's a very big topic, and I'll kind of not go into it, but the idea is to shift taxation from labor towards consumption. And that's something that's a bigger idea with existing good calculations, and this would be an example of a bigger incentive that will change totally the way we are incentivized to act.
Perfect. Thanks to all three of you, and we will have the networking part for any additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you.